So talk a little bit about design here, design and composition, and how you might look at your work and think about, how you could edit or at least assess your work in terms of, some of the elements that we know that we can work with, like color, shape, line, negative space, um, uh, and how you can, help your viewer understand what you want to say with your work. So what I have here is, this is a piece that I did for the last video that I had sent, or that I showed you in class, about enlarging one of the small collages and working into it, adding to it and changing it, and having fun playing with it. And what I have here are they basically act as viewfinders. And so it's this one is actually just an old mat that I had lying around that I cut, and now I have two L shapes that I can use to use this on top of my art to find smaller compositions. And so anyway, this is just a tool that I thought I might use to kind of simplify how you can look at your work or somebody else's work in terms of what the composition is doing. So as I travel over, what's great about this is that I can find a lot of compositions to talk to you about. I can move this around and find all kinds of things to discuss. And I don't want to make this a really long video, but just want to say that, so for example, here, if I looked at this little composition, what I like about it is that both of these circles go off the page. And it's one of the ways that I use a lot to make a composition more interesting. Instead of having everything sort of centered, like having this like right in the middle, having that pink shape sort of centered and kind of right smack in the middle. Well, what happens is, it's not bad if that is what you want to do, like having that right in the middle with the green around it. What's good is that I also have this yellow shape that I can't help but have it go right off the page here. That's a good thing, because I do think that it brings more interest to this. But if you have something in the middle, you're saying, look at me, this is the most important thing. And that could be something that you want to say. That could be saying that, this is the most important thing. I want you to focus on it. It's like, very much front and center. Ad companies often have, circles that they want you to look like the Tide box. There's a big circle in the middle. Your eye is drawn right to it. You can't look away from it. So if you wanted that to happen in your design, then that would be one thing to do. But if you don't, you're trying to do something else with it, then I would say move this around and see if there's a way that you can have more going on in your page. So I like this design a lot because I have a lot of elements that do go right off the page. I've got this one, I've got that one, I've got this little shape over here, and I've got this one too. And what is also happening is I've got these other shapes that are the green that are interesting. They have a sort of eccentricity about them. And also all these elements in this little painting clip that I've got are active. There's nothing that just seems so big that, I get bored looking at. There's a lot to look at. So my eye is following the outer edges of the circles and traveling around through this whole thing and going back up around. Here's one where we have a lot of black. So of course, the black is so important in this design that you can't help but look at it. These also go right off the page though. And, I'm repeating the circle here and here and here. So my eye, has some repetition. but then there's variety in that repetition. So that's something that is a good thing too. Um, actually looking for a composition that I might say, oh, need some work. Let's see if I can find something that I would say that about. You know, all these things actually, they're not so bad. They all have possibilities. Here's one. Um, if I did that, I might say, you know, repeat that black another place because it's all by itself. And it really draws a lot of attention to itself. So you might want that. You know, again, for me, you know, it's all about intention in your design. You know, if were you trying to say something by having that little black right there? Are you trying to talk about loneliness? Maybe the black all by itself in the corner expresses to you a feeling of being all by yourself. Um, and if that's what you're trying to say, then that's fine. There is no reason to, you know, try to make a balanced design that way. But, you know, if you're not trying to say that, you're just trying to, you know, create a pleasing design, then you might want to repeat that. But as I move all over this sheet of paper, I'm really finding a lot that I kind of like. And in the end of the day, where I use that expression a lot, don't I? um, I might feel that some of these smaller areas are actually more interesting than the whole by itself. So that's something that you can really play with. You can go back into your design and find other areas that are even more interesting than the whole. And then you cut those up and you do another drawing or painting based on those and make it larger and do iterations from that. But you know, this is how you see how artists can take it's just a small idea and really find a lot of uh, further exploration to be done. So even that's kind of interesting. In a little bit. But I'm not even saying what this word says. I'm just looking at it as, you know, basically lines on a white background. But yeah, just to say that this is another really great way to do croppings, to look at your work. So there's another one that has a center, but you know what breaks it up is this big black design behind it. You know, I can almost live with that yellow being in the center like that. And also it comes and goes. And then against the green, it sort of disappears. So it's interesting for your eye. It's not just like a whole circle smack in the middle, but it comes and goes. So you're always wanting to look for sort of mystery and interest and the way that, you know, you're going to keep your viewer or yourself interested in looking at your artwork.